Good afternoon, everybody. Shavua Tov. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm Raylene Marks, your host, and I hope you all had a good, a safe, and a healthy weekend. And this is just a reminder that if you want your news headlines from Israel every Monday to Thursday, this is where you can find us, but also on YouTube. We are at the Israel Brief, and all you have to do is click on the big red subscribe button, and you'll be notified every time we post a brief. But let's get into those top stories, and we start the week off with some really devastating news, and that's news that the body of 52-year-old mother of 6, Esther Horgan from Tel Menashe, was found the early hours of this morning in the Shomron area, which is very close to the West Bank. Esther Horgan had apparently been struck on the head repeatedly with a rock, and yesterday she went out for a run and had not returned. Police are currently investigating whether or not the motives were nationalistic or terrorist, or if it was a crime. And just moments ago, Prime Minister Netanyahu condemned the killing and vowed, "We will find the killers." And we wish her family strength through this very, very difficult time. And may her memory be a blessing. And now we go to the story that is dominating headlines all around the world, and that is COVID-19. And it has been discovered that there is a mutant strain of the virus that is apparently more highly contagious. As a result, yesterday Israel closed our skies to visitors from the UK, South Africa, and Denmark. And the coronavirus cabinet discussed it earlier today and have agreed that any arrivals into Israel will be sent immediately into quarantine hotels, and we will be debating closing our skies to further visitors. Also, starting yesterday was Israel's big vaccine rollout, and on Saturday night, as Shabbat or the Sabbath ended, Prime Minister Netanyahu and Health Minister Yuli Edelstein, they sat on television for their vaccinations. Prime Minister Netanyahu becoming the first Israeli to receive the Pfizer vaccine, saying one small vaccine or prick for man and one major step for mankind towards getting back to normal and getting back to good health. And yesterday, our 82-year-old President Reuven Rivlin went to Hadassah Hospital where he received his vaccination. Now, both President Rivlin, the Israeli Army Chief of Staff, Aviv Kochavi, and the Chief Rabbi of Israel have all either been vaccinated or have appealed to the public to make sure they get vaccinated, appealing to them to understand the importance of protecting not just their own health, but the health of their fellow citizens. And health workers were inoculated, and starting today, anybody over the age of 60 has the opportunity to receive their vaccine. And this comes as coronavirus numbers are on the rise. They are increasing. And also under discussion is whether or not Israel will be headed towards a third lockdown. We are sincerely hoping that this won't be the case because of the strain on the economy, but with rising numbers and with a mutant strain doing the rounds around the world, we are quite nervous and have to do everything in our power to make sure that the citizens of Israel remain protected. And the other big story and the other big question I know everybody has is Israel headed towards elections in March? We discussed that this could be a possibility last week, but today the Knesset will vote on whether or not they will accept the proposal put forward by the Blue and White and Likud to extend the deadline for the budget vote to the 31st of January or go to elections. Now, according to Israeli law, the budget must pass by a certain deadline, and if it doesn't, then the Knesset is automatically dissolved, sending the country to elections. And of course, this wouldn't be Israel without some or other controversy, and Blue and White Chara Knesset, Michal Kotler-Wunsch, she broke ranks with the Blue and White, and she said her vote would be rather going towards dissolving the Knesset and going towards elections rather than delaying the budget, which of course is quite a controversial decision because we want to try and avoid another election as much as possible. If the vote passes today, then the deadline for voting in the budget will be delayed to the 31st of December. The current deadline is the 23rd of December, just 2 days away. So those are the top stories making headlines here in Israel. But don't forget, if you're looking for something to do, I know many of us are either in lockdown or headed towards that, please look no further than our website at www.layoftheland.online. We have original content up there. And if you fancy yourself a writer and would like to write us an article, you can contact us at layoftheland@gmail.com. That's layotland@gmail.com, and we will be in touch with you, or contact us via our Facebook page. And while you're there, if you haven't already, give us a like or a follow, share our content. We know you're going to subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Israel Brief, and follow us on Twitter, where you can find us at Lay of the Land 5. So with the Monday edition of The Israel Brief, I'm Rolene Marks. This is The Israel Brief. We'll speak tomorrow with hopefully some updates on today's top stories.